Okay, I'm going to get started and we'll probably still have some people logging through, but this way we can get going with everyone who is here and on time. Welcome to your February Exemplify. We are very excited today to talk about confidence. And I am even more excited to introduce you to today's speaker. Marc Lacoursière is the president and owner of the Achievement Center, also acronymed as TAC, a national organization of business coaches providing help in strategic planning, business growth, leadership development, employee engagement, and transition planning. He's been doing this for over 35 years. Prior to joining the Achievement Center in 2008, Marc held sales leadership positions in small, medium, and global companies. He graduated with an executive MBA from Richard Ivey Business School as an Ivy Scholar, and he currently serves and has served on many not-for-profit boards focused on business policy, newcomer immigration, and community support for people with permanent disabilities. He resides in London with his wife, Jennifer, who is also active in the Achievement Center, and they have 2 growing children. When not building the Achievement Center, he does enjoy sailing with his family and friends. And I am very excited to have him joining us today, and I'm going to pass the mic over to him.
Well, thank you very much, Melissa. It's a pleasure to be interacting with you again, and looking forward to having a conversation and a bit of an informal presentation with everybody on the whole idea of confidence. Hopefully at the end of this, I will have gained some more of it. So let's hope. I am going to rely heavily on my speaker's notes, and part of the reason for that is this is a one-time presentation structure, so I don't want to start to run off at the mouth, and so this will help keep me on schedule, if you don't mind. So first of all, I have a promise for you, and that is this isn't a sales pitch. We're going to talk about work we do, but we're not going to be promoting ourselves. Secondly, we have an assumption. And the assumption is that I expect most of us today are either in HR, leadership, or maybe both. If you aren't, say, in either of those, then consider this a bit of a self-leadership discussion or opportunity for you. We are going to try to speak broadly on the topic of confidence. Thirdly, it's safe to assume we won't cover anything revolutionary today. Most of the kinds of things we're going to talk about, people have probably been exposed to. But as we say, common sense isn't that common, is it? So sometimes we know things, but that doesn't always mean we do them. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. I am going to now launch my slide deck. There we go. Okay. So thank you very much for the help. So I want to throw a few terms out at you, just synonyms, if you will: self-esteem, self-image, positive attitude, self-confidence, confidence. All of these things will be treated similarly today. If you hear me use one term over another, we're considering all of them the same. I did decide to do something a little bit mischievous. We're going to use your subconscious skills to your advantage today. So we are in the learning and development business, and we know a little bit about this stuff. And it may seem redundant that I'm going to put a lot of text-laden slides up, and often I'll be reading from them. And you might say, well, why is he doing that? Well, the reality is, and the science is, that even if we don't read something, most of about 80% of our learning comes through visual experience. And they've proven that even if you don't read it, you still read it. your brain still picked it up. So I am doing that for your benefit. Please forgive me for filling your head. So let's move on here, and we'll talk a little bit about how we define self-image. Self-image to us is a system of thoughts, and as with all thoughts, you are in control over which thoughts you allow to affect you and how you react to them. That's the way we see self-image. I assume that most of you have come across the Noom diet program. It's like on fire right now out in the world. And it uses behavioral science and psychology to change people's eating habits. Well, self-image isn't that different because, if we look at things different, take a different paradigm shift, we can change outcomes, and that's really our view of self-image. And alternatively, I thought, excuse me, I thought I would give you Wikipedia's version, and this is a little bit more of a I don't want to say negative, but resistant version. And they're saying that generally people are resistant to change. So self-image is something that you might have control over, but it's something that you generally won't, you won't make the effort to change. That's right from Wikipedia. And going a little further, here's something that they discussed, which I thought was kind of interesting. And this is different ways that self-image can manifest itself. So it could be how we see ourselves. It could be how others see us. The individual perceives how they see themselves. So it's like myself looking at myself in the mirror, a little bit complex, right? The individual perceives how others see them. Others perceive how the individual sees themselves. And then finally, others perceive how others see the individual. Oh my gosh, what a mess, eh? This is how experts have commented on the whole idea of self-image. It's super complicated stuff. No wonder psychologists, are out there aplenty and make lots of money. Now, your self-image has a large impact on how you act, how you approach problems, how creative you are, and how you interact with people. Self-image is certainly how you view yourself, but it does have an influence over your success, because we like to say it's like cruise control. Imagine that you set a mental cruise control in your mind. What is the likelihood if you set yourself at 80% of what you're capable of? What's the likelihood that you'll perform above that? Almost never. So if we think we're only that good, that's kind of how we show up. And so your self-limiters kick in and will override your confidence. So that's an important aspect of self-image, and something that we're going to spend a large percentage of our time today working on. Well, how do you change that? Okay, so that's going to be a big part of our focus. I wanted to share with you the concept of self-doubt, because this is the other side of the coin. So self-doubt, by nature, makes you hesitant and affects your decision making. I won't get into again, well, what's the flip side of that coin? Positive self-image. But again, like the cruise control comment, it does limit our willingness to stress. We've all seen it. We maybe have dealt with it ourselves, where it's like, I don't feel confident to try. I don't think I will succeed. So I give up. It's also something that we see around us daily. There's a high percentage of people who are, well, I would say 100%, we all have something that we could probably do better than we do today. And so we deal with self-doubt all around us every day. Here's another thing to share with you. I want to get some additional third-party data into the conversation. And so Forbes wrote an article on a Deloitte study, and the key points that I took from it are executive confidence is hurt by a lack of leadership development. So there's a close tie between development and confidence. Secondly, CXOs, so anybody at the C level, are not fully confident in their own leadership pipeline. So our future leaders, we don't feel that we've got a good handle on that. And finally, organizations are not adequately investing in the development of their leaders, was also identified. The point being that leadership development and future leadership, two big gaps that successful organizations are overcoming at a better rate than the average organization. When asked about their confidence in their ability to address specific obstacles to growth, nearly half had some doubts. And the bottom line in this study is that executive confidence is always an important topic. It's also important for executives to take responsibility for developing their teams. So you see those two things. I kind of kid around. It's like two hands clapping, because if you take that responsibility for developing people, then collectively confidence improves. So that's pretty important. Now, I did mention that the majority of our time today is going to be focused on success strategies. And so I want to talk about, well, how can we do a better job as individuals and leaders to improve confidence? So think about the people you admire. Are you conscious of how self-confident they are? Now think of how your own inner strength could have that effect on other people. People gravitate towards and are inspired to imitate individuals with self-confidence. We've all experienced this, right? So we see it in other people, and that gets us juiced up. This is a good introduction to the next slide, a concept that we're probably mostly familiar with called positive expectancy. It's been around for a long time. How does this fit into the whole idea of confidence? Well, so part of what we are talking about here is having positive expectancy. When people have strong beliefs that things will work out well, when they believe they can make it happen, this is positive expectancy. I will quote one of our program authors directly, who has who wrote on positive expectancy extensively, and he says that positive expectancy is intriguing. Pardon me, I'm just getting something on my screen out of the way so I can see. It's obvious yet elusive. It is difficult to describe, but easy to perceive. Those who have it seem to attract good luck wherever they go. It's unstoppable. The momentum carries you along on a wave of confidence until that which you expect comes to pass. Positive expectancy is also personal. When asked to describe what it means, and this is from studies we've done, people had many different responses. One person said, you get back what you first give to others. So pay it forward. Another said, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a desire held in expectation that it will be accomplished. What we recommend is to communicate positive expectancy to those around you. You can communicate positive expectancy in your voice, the words you choose, your gestures, and your body language. So we know we talk with all of those things, right? If you have positive expectancy, it's contagious and people will unconsciously get caught up in your confidence. Then it's like a feedback loop. And we'll talk about feedback loops quite a bit. Because others have more confidence in you, you have more confidence in yourself. All of this from that one concept, positive expectancy. Just to extend on that idea of positive expectancy, let's give some real world examples of where positive expectancy has been in play and has manifested itself in success. So can you imagine if Thomas Edison had given up at only 1,500 tries to invent the light bulb? You know, he was failing constantly, but he had positive expectancy. He saw in his mind a positive outcome and he kept working towards it. Madame Curie, you know, she didn't give up on radiation. She kept going, and my gosh, she's changed the world. So, you know, this was an amazing story of tenacity and success. And can you imagine all of us here today if Columbus had turned around 50 miles from the North American shore, deciding that there was nothing here, and went back? But he didn't. He carried on for months and months and found his way to the you know, to the North American shore, and here we are today to celebrate that. So committing to go the extra mile matters, and it is a confidence builder. We all have experienced the sense of accomplishment that comes after coming up successfully at the end of something after a long slog. And we know firsthand the importance of extending our own quit line. And that brings up the concept of beliefs. Now, beliefs, in order to move forward and be fully accountable, you need to consider the strength of your beliefs. Our levels of confidence and comfort stem from how sure we are of ourselves and our ability to perform in our interdependent network, particularly in our professional world. Now, by interdependent, that's really kind of the new world order. You know, it's not top-down leadership anymore. It's not working in silos anymore. It's really working in an interdependent way. And so this is pretty critical. And how do beliefs play into that? Well, let's go to this little infographic I have here and talk about belief. Now, belief's at the top here, and it determines the attitude which you know, ultimately creates the behaviors ending in results that further reinforce our beliefs. Now, if we behave in a certain way that gets us a result that we're, you know, satisfied with, it might change beliefs because we're we're happy with the outcome, and that reinforces things for us. You can see the word goal in the bottom left-hand corner, because goal setting is an important component of all this. And an important place to do it is understanding what result you want and what actions and behaviors are required to get that result requires goal setting. And so this is where injecting that is an important element and plays into getting that different outcome that we've talked about several times already, leads to the positive outcome that you're looking for and the confidence builder. So goal setting does build greater self-confidence. We know that. The achievement of a goal makes us feel good and builds confidence. The hardest part is, back to having the courage to try. And I wanted to introduce something at this point, which some of you might know about and some of you might not. I suspect there's a large number of us that have heard the studies from Harvard and Yale about goal setting and how 97% of us don't set goals and only 3% do, and they're the most successful. Those are old statistics. They go back 50 years. But here's something you might not have heard. Those studies never happened. They're urban myths. And so all this discussion around the importance of goal setting and the data behind it, unfortunately, has been built on decades of untrue data. But here's the good news. A woman, Dr. Gail Matthews from Dominican University in California, did do a study. And what she did show is that, and I'm going to do this very quickly, but if you do, you look at the difference between unwritten goals and written goals, at the extreme end, if you have a written goal with written actions, commitment to somebody else, and commitment to progress reports, you're approaching twice the success rate versus somebody who has unwritten goals. So these are mean averages, the difference in goal achievement. So committing to goals and goals changing results and results changing beliefs and behavior and ultimately our confidence all follow hand in hand. Just to take it a little further, I thought I'd get some additional outside data. Harvard Business Review talks about another closer tie-in to, well, what does all this goal setting have to do with with confidence? And so it says, when people realize they have clear and meaningful goals, sufficient resources, and helpful colleagues, they get an instant boost to their emotions, motivations, and perceptions of the work in the organization. So this emotions, motivations piece is directly tied to confidence, right? So pretty valuable. Self-reflection. Do I have the capabilities of meeting my responsibilities? Do I have the skills and confidence to perform at the right level? Do I care enough to hold myself accountable for my results and success? Now, I want to just talk a little bit about people and personality for a moment. You might be naturally introverted, submissive, reserved. These are personality traits hardwired into us by the time we're 4 years old, whether we're extroverted, introverted, whatever. Those are just who we are. You don't change those things. You are who you are. You can change your behavior. You can change how you respond to your realities. That's for sure. But we are who we are. And so we can learn skills and strategies to respond differently when needed. So that's important to consider as you reflect on yourself. when you decide to surround yourself with positive, motivated people, the bar is raised. Now the expectations are greater. The rewards are greater. You have an elevated belief and confidence, which is creating that positive motivation that we alluded to. And again, this is creating that positive feedback loop that we talked about earlier. People see you as a success and you feel more successful. Going in a completely different direction, how could delegation increase confidence? It's like, oh my gosh, it's like throwing a lamb out to slaughter. No, not at all. We in our business talk about 4 levels of delegation, and I'm going to focus in on 2 of them. The one we call complete authority, that's where you really feel the person has the skill, confidence, etc., to just try it on their own. And the benefit of that is that you save time communicating and they can run with it on their own. And it helps further build their self-confidence. So you're actually creating that feedback loop again. The next level of delegation is just one step down, is still allowing them to independently act, but the difference is, what if something goes sideways? And in that case, then you can ask them, look, all I want you to do is report any variances so that we're aware and can step in and support you if necessary. So that actually does still help build confidence, especially because they get guidance and support from the leader, as well as the opportunity to act independently. Relationship building. We all are in relationships in organizations and with clients and what have you. As we build relationships and trust is gained, we start to develop independence and the opportunity to figure things out on our own. And this can be a great stage of growing both competence and confidence. So that's just, it happens just through through time. The courage to try. It's not an easy process to change the way you think, but it can be done. It starts with having the courage to try to change. As you become more responsible for your choices and how you view events, you'll begin to experience improvement in your self-image. Here's something I wanted to chime in on this one is, we know that our brain operates almost entirely at the subconscious level. Most of what we do just without even thinking about it. The old expression, you can't tell the truth from a lie. That's the majority of how our brain functions. And so in order to have the courage to try to change, one extra piece needs to be implemented here. And people who are unconscious incompetents don't generally try to change because they don't even know they need to. So we need to become aware of our want and need to change something before we'll start to put the steps in place to change and develop the courage to try. So there's an extra piece in that. Now, here's a bit of one of my favorite people that I think is one of the all-time champions when it comes to the whole idea of confidence. Those of you that have ever been involved with the sales training world might know Zig Ziglar, who has since passed, but he was an all-time believer in positive attitude. And he used to talk about things like avoid stinking thinking. And he used to kid around about resist hardening of the attitudes. You know, attitude is everything, right? You've got to have a positive mental attitude to be successful. And he would talk extensively to that. But it was the third point that I really wanted to zero in on, this whole idea of fake it till you make it. Now, I have heard feedback on that one over the years from people who say, my gosh, that's kind of dishonest. Like, why would we encourage that? Well, I will say that even psychologists will sometimes recommend it as a strategy to overcome anxieties, fear, give us courage to do things. You got to kind of put yourself out there, right? If you're timid and you won't try, then you'll never change your outcome. So that's what we mean by fake it till you make it. It's certainly not cheat and lie. And this is tied to our next slide, and that is the concept of visualization. Now, you might be familiar with visualization from, you know, sports and other things. Visualization makes your goals come alive. The concept is that everything's created twice. First, we create it in our mind as an idea that it's possible, and then we take action to accomplish it. Olympic athletes are known to be proponents of visualization. You know, the pole vaulter that sees herself vaulting over the high bar will see it in her mind before she actually runs down the track to do it. So they do see themselves accomplishing the end goal. So visualization is an example of a confidence building strategy. Right behind that, the idea of affirmations. Affirmations, again, probably known to most of us here, but a good reminder, personal messages that you give yourself on a frequent basis about you know, your beliefs, your ability, and your behavior that you would like to change. But it's important when you're doing affirmations that you're doing them in personally in the present tense, in a positive way with the intended desire for change. So there's definitely a rhythm that works. Once you reach the stage of self-awareness, you are aware of your strength in areas where you want to grow. Back a couple slides there where we talked about being aware of what you want to change, for instance. So it's the ability to be aware of how you feel and identify that feeling as it happens. By understanding our own moods, we can start appreciating how those moods affect other people. Self-awareness will manifest itself as self-confidence, a realistic self-assessment, and self-deprecation. Self-deprecation, you know, the ability to laugh at our own flaws, poke fun at ourselves. Now, I do provide a caution on that one because sometimes we see a lot of self-deprecation in people with very low self-esteem. And so understanding that, you know, that we need to look for other signs. Is this person really self-aware and confident, or they may be inconfident and beating themselves up a bit? Because self-deprecation can show up in both scenarios. Just a bit of a caution there. Now, I had a little bit of fun. I have a little confession for you. I went out on the internet and used a little bit of artificial intelligence and used one of their chatbots just to confirm what what artificial intelligence says about confidence in employees. And as expected, it validates other research that has existed for quite a while. And we have heard from MIT scientists that, while there are over 30,000 books a year written on leadership, almost all the content is the same. And so the good news is you don't have to change the way you do things. It's just how you apply it. So here are 4 points from the AI query that I did. Number 1, increased productivity. Confident employees are more likely to take on challenging tasks and perform well under pressure. They are also more willing to take risks and try new things, which can lead to increased innovation and productivity. Improved customer satisfaction. Confident employees are more likely to engage with customers in a positive and helpful manner. They are able to handle difficult situations with poise and professionalism, which can lead to increased customer satisfaction. Number 3, better teamwork. Confident employees are more likely to contribute to team projects and communicate their ideas effectively. They are also more willing to take on leadership roles, which can improve team dynamics and collaboration. Isn't it interesting that AI goes and supports this whole concept of the leadership pipeline that came out of the Deloitte study that I talked about, 30 slides back? Reduced turnover. Pardon me, I know this is a broken record for some people, but confident employees tend to have higher job satisfaction and are more likely to stay with a company long term. This can help reduce turnover and the costs associated with recruiting and training new employees. Overall, confident employees can help businesses achieve their goals more effectively and contribute to a positive work culture. And of course, culture doesn't happen in a day. It takes time. So, we have to build this, build towards the future. I did do a little extra digging for you folks. I found 3 potentially good reads on confidence. The Confidence Code, which is predominantly, it's focused on supporting women first to be more confident, but it is neuroscience based and it's not gender specific. So there are good things for both or for anybody. And so that's important. They do talk about the environmental aspects. They show step-by-step how you can find and increase your confidence. The second one, the Mental Toughness Handbook, is a step-by-step guide to facing life's challenges, managing negative emotions, and overcoming adversity with courage and poise. And one that's been, like I said, one of my lifetime favorites from Zig Ziglar is See You at the Top. And it stresses the importance of honesty, loyalty, faith, integrity, and strong personal character. I do have some contact information if you have any questions about any of this content. And I'll put that and the reads into the chat for you folks. And I know that we are going to open this up for questions at some point. And so I will, oh, pardon me, I'm trying to stop sharing. There we go. There we go. I succeeded.
And I will also send that out. We'll have our team send that out to everybody as well, so that you have those lists. So we do have some time, and we can open it up to questions. If there's any questions that anybody has for Marc, we've got the Q&A open, or you can obviously send it through the chat as well. So I will give you a second to throw any questions that you have in either the Q&A or the chat, and then we can go from there. So if we don't have questions, then we will wrap this up and everyone can take a couple minutes back in their day. Marc, so grateful to have you with us today and for all of that information. So really grateful for that. So thank you.
Thank you.
And for everybody else, we will hopefully see you next month.